Welcome to this series of readings of the Mechanization concept, a manifesto by the Great Divine Director. There are 22 parts to these releases by the Great Divine Director. He has asked that they be read in the order of their release. I am Caroline Hansky, the reader. The teachings were given by the Great Divine Director through the messenger Mark L. Prophet in 1965. Permission was granted for reading them and making them available to the general public in audio form. These readings are from Mark and Elizabeth Prophet, The Mechanization Concept, The Mysteries of God on the Creation of Mechanized Man, Pearls of Wisdom, Volume 8, Teachings of the Ascended Masters, Summit University Press, copyright Church Universal and Triumphant, 1965. They are also published as Mark L. Prophet, the Soulless one, Cloning a Counterfeit Creation. Copyright 1965, 1980, 1981, Summit University Press. Why would you want to listen to and or read these releases? Because the message in them is as important now, or even more so, as when it was originally delivered. The message is serious and ought to be taken seriously. The mechanical, non-human creation, not created by God ones, are among us, and have been for thousands of years. We have taken on their consciousness to some degree and must free ourselves from it. Prayer and working on our psychology are two ways of doing this. But first we must be aware of what the mechanical consciousness is. These releases by the Great Divine Director are for this purpose. What makes this so relevant at this time? If you are following the news of the development of robots for every conceivable purpose, then is it not curious that this is made to seem a new development? As these current robots are portrayed, they are obviously mechanical. Yet, just as obvious from the Great Divine Director teachings is the fact that the robots that have been on the earth for thousands of years appear like humans. We don't know the difference. Then why is it important to make us think this is a new advanced development? Something to ponder. The Great Divine Director is a cosmic being with many offices in the spiritual hierarchy. For example, he is a member of the karmic board in which he represents the first ray of God power. He is known as the Great Divine Director because he has merged his consciousness with the cosmic cycles of God's divine plan for untold universes of light. Great Divine Director is a title of an office in the cosmic hierarchy, given to the one who, by virtue of diligent application over the eons, focuses within his causal body the formula of the ascension for the children of God and the sons and daughters of the Most High evolving in this cosmos. The causal body is the spiritual part of us in which is stored our attainment, all merit we have ever accrued, our treasures stored in heaven. The Great Divine Director's causal body is a giant blue sphere that surrounds the entire planet. Thus his attainment of cosmic consciousness qualifies him to ensoul the flame of divine direction on behalf of Earth's evolutions and untold lifeways beyond. The Great Divine Director long ago passed those initiations that placed him at cosmic levels of service and qualified him to become the Manu of the seventh root race. A Manu embodies the archetype for an entire life wave of souls who will incarnate on Earth at a certain period, including the divine image and likeness out of which they are made and the pattern of their destiny. The seventh root race is destined to embody first in South America under the Great Divine Director, and so he presides spiritually over the continent of South America. He is then the lawgiver and sponsor of the seventh root race, the one who holds the blueprint for the entire race of the souls who begin their embodiment in the age of Aquarius that is now dawning. Godfrey Ray King, author of the book, The Magic Presence, describes the Great Divine Director in it. This majestic being stood fully 6 feet 4 inches in height, with wavy hair that fell to his shoulders and looked like sunshine on gold. His robes glittered with points of light like jewels that flashed continually with the tremendous radiance of the power held under his control and obedient to his conscious direction. The girdle encircling his waist was a mass of sapphires and diamonds. From it hung a panel to a few inches below the knees. This also was a mass of jewels. End of quote. The great divine director has said, I pray that you will call to me, for I have within my consciousness the scroll of the divine plan for every living soul on Terra and in the vast beyond. The Mechanization Concept, a manifesto by the great divine director, Part N, Non-Man. To builders of the world to come, I say, there is but one way to make way for the coming race, by sacred fire transmutation of the conspiracy of mechanical man. Call unto the Lord, I am that I am, to gather the wheat of divine manifestation into his garner, and to burn the chaff of humanoid non-manifestation with fire unquenchable. Be firm with evil wherever you find it. Stamp it out and replace it with the real, the eternal, and the substance of things to come. Man's longing to see perfection reign upon earth is only exceeded by the yearning of God and the ascended hosts. It suffices, then, that negation and wickedness together with oppression ought to be laid aside. There are many moot points which, because of the limited capacity of the human mind, cannot be explained in the manner we would like to do. For individuals, through misunderstanding, sometimes become either confused or misinformed, not by our words, but by their understanding of them. Do you see? Then there is the further problem of the gap in mankind's knowledge, whereby they, in their limitations, frequently consider that which they do not yet know or have knowledge on to be outside the domain of reason or acceptability. This poses dangers for us as well as for mankind, for if we hold back higher knowledge, progress cannot be made. But through releasing it, or prematurely doing so, to the wrong people, seeing mankind's reactions can always be gauged, for, as Saint Germain has told you, they are unpredictable. It then becomes a possibility that some might, in fear of the unknown, let go of our hand and rush toward the shore of more familiar ground. I must, however, run some risk in this release, and yet I do so guardedly. The existence upon the Earth planet of what we may term simulated man is a fact carefully hidden from the masses of mankind. Although it is the knowledge of the few, it may become, and perhaps should become, the knowledge of the many. Yet great care must be used in the dissemination of this knowledge, for it is never the desire of the ascended hosts to do anything except that which would result in the greatest blessing and the release of mankind from every binding condition. As many of you know from the history of America and other parts of the world, the fear of mankind can be very great, and when unleashed against those who may be wholly innocent, it can have disastrous results. A case in point is the Salem witchcraft trials, when many innocent young maidens were burned to death at the stake simply because they expressed views singularly apart from the mainstream of human opinion. Many of those who perpetrated these acts of wanton murder against the innocent later embarked upon their own spiritual careers, and some of these have become victims of mankind's ostracism, that they might learn the lessons of inflicted bigotry and intolerance. The wife of one of your recent presidents was among those burned at the stake in her previous embodiment. Such acts perpetrated by society against society become national karma, and thus she has been honored as the First Lady of this ascended Master Nation, where justice and truth do ultimately give to all the balance of life that is rightfully theirs. Therefore, great care must be exercised by mankind today in ferreting out upon the planet those individuals who belong in the classification of the wicked, lest the innocent lambs suffer for their deeds. It is our hope that the heinous crimes perpetrated against all humanity by those so classified can, in the name of cosmic justice, be corrected without the undue suffering of mankind en masse. Through the power of infinite freedom and relieving the consciousness of the gross mechanical sense, we believe that the purposes of God can be fulfilled by divine edict, without the interference of human fanaticism and untempered zeal. It is our hope to squeeze out blind injustice and negation by saturating the planet with those necessary reforms which, by divine love, will remove the bane of that oppression which the wicked rulers have for generations instituted upon the earth. At this point, a better definition is in order. You will recall that Jesus, in his parable of the wheat and tares, announced that an enemy had sown tares among the wheat. These tares are the counterfeit man. Jesus said they were the children of the wicked one, which exist apart from the original creation of God. And yet, inasmuch as nothing cannot create something, that which was created must have been created by someone who at some time, somewhere, drew forth the necessary information to so create. In many cases in the New Testament, it is recorded in the life of Jesus that he referred to certain individuals as a generation of vipers, as hypocrites, and as sons of Satan, addressing them in these words: "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it." This reference obviously does make a distinction between all men and some men. Let me hasten to assure you, then, that there do exist upon the planet creatures who did not come forth from God, who are the counterfeit of the real manifestation. Many of these are consciously in league with the insipid and insidious purposes of the powers of darkness. They seek through conspiracy and plot to ravish the world of its good, to set brother against brother, to confuse, disturb, and destroy harmonies wherever they exist. These function on the physical plane, utilizing and directing their energies in a concerted effort against the light. They are, however, the pawns of spiritual wickedness in high places, and the league of the spiritually negative forces with these embodied wicked individuals has resulted in the slaughter of many noble souls down through the ages. I'm not so interested in identifying and describing these individuals as I am in calling to your attention that they do exist. John the Baptist, as he preached the coming of the Christ, foretold the end of this race of mechanical men when he said, "O generation of vipers, who hath warned you to flee from the wrath to come?" Again, referring to the barrenness of this counterfeit creation, he said, "Every tree, therefore, which bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire." He prophesied the coming of one who would be baptized with the Holy Ghost and with fire, with a sacred fire, and the purifying power of the violet flame, the violet transmuting flame, whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor, and will gather the wheat into his garner, but the chaff he will burn with fire unquenchable. Needless to say, these human automatons are the chaff, and their final end can come through only one process, transmutation, for this is the only approved method whereby the wicked shall be removed from the face of the earth. In the Bible, these soulless beings are referred to throughout as the wicked, for they have seen to it that all more specific descriptions of their race have been removed, lest mankind discover them and rise in righteous indignation against their overlords. And thus the death of John the Baptist and that of Jesus the Christ were brought about by the counterfeit race who for thousands of years have set brother against brother, race against race, and have caused the children of God to blame one another for the murders of the saints. Today, as always, they occupy positions of authority and financial power. They have gained control of the destiny of empires, and they seek ever to thwart the pure purposes of God. The injudicious use of taxation exerted by their direction has placed an unconscionable yoke upon the neck of humanity. The control of entertainment media and the trends of youth toward dissonant art forms and discordant music has perverted noble attitudes and spawned a race of delinquent rebels whose code, or lack of it, has gnawed at the vital future of America and the people of many nations. Modern means of communication and distribution of the printed word, the spoken word, and the dramatic word, through television and motion pictures, have caused ideas to span continents and the world, almost with the speed of light. Like a prairie fire, the dry grass consumes itself to the roots of the hopes of mankind, which are blighted then by the searing infamy of wasted energy and emotion. It is my opinion that through correct action, negation can be overruled. I believe that through the power of prayer, as evoked through Beloved Jesus' Watch With Me 1 hour program, through the conscious use of decrees, and through the increased distribution of ascended master, material, and true cultural knowledge, the yearnings of mankind for the golden age will be so strengthened that those who have wrong and selfish thoughts will be exposed as darkness against light reveals its true nature. The mechanical man is the wolf in sheep's clothing, who may defy detection for a while, but we know how to expose all those who deliberately or in ignorance perpetrate any form of sinister strategy against mankind. Those individuals, for example, who have dared recently to attack Master Moria L., the illustrious Prince of Goodwill, whose every thought and energy is wholly dedicated to the dissemination of light and truth, will one day find themselves face to face with the record of this great master, and as they gaze upon it, their own being will seem to shrink until they feel as a miniature atom beside a blazing sun. Then they will be asked to step aside of their puny manifestation, which is a mere speck of dust, and reach toward the stars to become like Master Moria, dedicated servants of God spanning the centuries. There is a very old and wicked spirit which has consistently sent forth the ignorant to completely distort the truth, and the lies of mankind uttered in self-deceit, self-defeat, and delusion are sometimes so great that they sway the faith of those who should immediately recognize the foolishness of human nonsense in its crudest manifestations. Blessed ones, when will mankind awaken to the fact that the Spirit of God is peaceable, gentle, easy to be entreated, and victorious? When will they recognize that those who produce the biting, stinging statements against their fellow men are but patterning after their Father, who was known of old as the accuser of the brethren? Now let us for all time put an end to attitudes of negation. Let students of the light cease to be the pawns of negative ideas. As the expression goes upon earth, the tail wags the dog, and this has been true of many, for little matters are amplified out of proportion, whereas the great cup of blessings with which God has surrounded man on every side are ignored, as the shadows of the mutterings of purveyors of darkness are heard in the land. Arise, then, to meditate truth for yourselves, O mankind, for truth is above and beyond the bane of mechanicality and carnality. Truth and freedom are synonymous, for Jesus has said, "The truth shall make you free." Your freedom lies in putting negation forever behind you. To look back upon the burning Sodom is unnecessary. The mount of attainment is ahead. A gentle spirit is not of necessity docile when great causes are at stake. I am determined that the fire of heaven shall flood through the student body of this activity to assist them to throw off the weight of human effluvia, to become, if necessary, more like Master Moria, rather than less. Beloved Jesus expressed many of these aspects, for the description given in the New Testament clearly describes him as one who spake, not as the scribes, but as one having authority. You must first take authority over yourself, then. You must take authority over the thoughts that come to you that are not right, because you know within yourself that they are not right. Then you must take authority over those individuals who come to you either with the spirit of inharmony or with the vocalization of negation. Then you must take authority over the world itself and the mass effluvia of human thought, and it is God in you who will give you your victory. I do not say that you should be harsh or discourteous, I say you must be firm with evil. You must be firm wherever you find it. You must stamp it out and replace it with the real, the eternal, the substance of things to come. A better world will be built. The builders of that world must one day begin. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. The great bonds of cosmic charity, which are expressed by the cosmic masters in the entire Great White Brotherhood, cannot be refuted by the action of a few individuals, or even of the many. But the effectivity of right action is in the acceptance of the preceding right thought, so that when action goes forth, it is guided by holy wisdom. One of the oldest tricks utilized by the sinister force is the projection of the feeling of compulsion to finalize one's thinking and actions. Many individuals feel intimidated to accept an idea immediately or to reject it, as the case may be, and many times individuals are catapulted into situations not to their liking simply because they have felt compelled to act. Precious ones, sometimes an idea cannot be digested all at once, for everyone has a different system and may require either more time or more discriminating study. You do not need to accept any thought that is not compatible with your own capacity, nor should you feel pressured into suddenly changing your chartered course of action because someone flashes a meteoric proposal across the sky of your being. After all, precious ones, all that we release is for your edification. Only that which you can accept wholeheartedly ought to be accepted by you, no matter what its source. However, I think you are aware of the fact that the teachings of the Ascended Masters are beyond reproach. We have directed you in love, in honor, and in purity of motive in order to secure for you that eternal grace which is your birthright. Be satisfied with nothing less. Be satisfied with the excellence that we give you, which is as much your own as it is ours. Be unafraid to challenge those who bring strange tidings, but remember the balance of the law, for oftentimes truth is stranger than fiction. In this release, I've tried to compound many subjects: a mountain of truth, a solid bedrock of faith beneath the mountain, a sense of courage for the climb, a dash of mighty wisdom for the battle of life, and the love that translates into power when it is needed. You are our children, Christ-illumined and oriented. To you is given the admonishment and understanding of the phrase, to know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. The battle lines are being drawn for the invisible victory. The peril of the world is not all gone, but continues to hover like the sword of Damocles over civilization. The need for protection and advancement continues to be very great, but we have not forsaken our Chilas, nor will we leave you comfortless. The end of division and separation, the end of destructivity of inhumanity among men is at hand, even at the door. As the sullied garments are laid aside, and the clean white linen of Christhood are lovingly enfolded around the children of the light, the Sun of eternal righteousness shall show forth a coming race without spot and without blemish. God wills it so. I am forever your friend of great light, the great divine director.